Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker. I have to go to the bathroom. I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pastor.
Oh, I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
I'm a cop, you idiot.
I'm a cop, you idiot.
They could have named this Soundboard the movie.
Really?
You ever watch? Yeah.
I remember the Arnold soundboards from the early days of the internet. It was all.
Yeah, it was.
Many of the sound bites were taken from this film.
Mostly this, yeah. Oh boy, jeez,
boy, golly,
howdy.
jeez.
Hi, it's another episode of Into the Mr. Universe, our Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast. I'm a host, David Bell.
I'm another host, Tom Ryman.
Tom's a host, Tom Ryman.
I am.
And our producer is named Norm from Cheers.
Norm.
Thank you, Norm. Norm, thank you so much. This is a delight. We're having a good time.
Yeah.
We enjoy ourselves.
This is
and we
click our heels together every time we get to do another one of these. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those realizations like, man, I really like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, don't I?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're all bangers, every single one.
See, I've always known this about myself, so this wasn't a new discovery for me. But
it makes sense. It's just in my head. It's like, wow.
It has been, like we've said, and this is going to be another example of it, today's movie, but like as we've said, it is fun to sit down and watch them all in a row and be like, man, these really are mostly hits. He rarely misses.
Yeah, he makes very good movies.
Additionally, how atypical each one is. When you watch him all in a row, like we've been doing, he has, the reputation of being the iconic action star where all the tropes come from. But like as we said with Commando, he was already spoofing it before he kind of did one. So it was like his career is very interesting when you watch it sequentially, especially when you get to, 1991's Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, this is going to be, we're really fucking lubed up and going because 1990 Kindergarten Cop, we just did Total
90.
Recall.
Okay, this is 90.
1990, because you know what's next year? Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yeah, that's right.
That's our next episode,
Oh,
and that's going to be
shit.
off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to skip Christmas in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're going to skip the TV movie Lincoln, which then brings us to Last Action Hero. And you know what's after Last Action Hero, Tom? True Lies.
Yep.
So we're in it. Like we're fucking in it.
We're in the thick of it.
Balls deep in Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We got our waders on.
Yeah. And this movie, Ivan Reitman's Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Did you know that he was not the first person approached for this role?
I am not at all surprised. This is only Arnold's second comedy, right? After Twins.
Yeah. But he did do, Ivan Reitman was Twins, right? So like, I just figured he was like, let's do it again, Arnold. Like, I loved it. But it turns out that Patrick Swayze was approached, which is like, okay, that makes sense. But also Bill Murray and Danny DeVito, which is like, no, that's not the point of this.
Well, you could have done it that way. Bill Murray's a little stranger, but like Danny DeVito, I could totally see. It's just you tweak the elements of it. But like the basic story of a cop having to pretend to be a kindergarten teacher to catch a bad guy, I could totally see Danny DeVito. It would just be a different movie. You'd reshape the movie around that. Like this is very much shaped around the idea that John Kimball is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
It does seem like this was the days where it's like, let's get a big star and then let's figure out the movie.
Yeah, you tailor it to him. They still do that. Like Will Smith and Tom Cruise both famously have their own writers that any project they come onto, they just whittle it into a Will Smith or Tom Cruise movie.
You can definitely see Bill Murray just vamping with these kids, like just doing improv with
putting
the
them
kids.
in trash cans.
Yeah, being a real dirtbag. Another casting thing, apparently Elijah Wood auditioned for a role in this and lost. They auditioned more than 2,000 children, which makes sense because this is a big child actor movie. This would be like...
There's a lot of kids. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like proving you can work with children as a director, this is a great movie for that. This was shot at a real elementary school, obviously, in Astoria, Oregon, which is a beautiful town. As an aside, I want to go to Astoria because it just looks like a beautiful, quaint little town.
Yeah, that's where Goonies takes place, too.
Yeah, you do a little shopping there, and it's all rainy and nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty awesome. And you do see the Goonies shoreline in one scene when they're at the fair. You can see it behind them, yeah.
Yeah, it looks just like I don't know. I just want to go there.
Yeah.
They shot it in Universal Studios for the interiors, but they fixed up a real elementary school. They used actual kids as extras. They drew the kids to the drawings. I don't know why I'm doing behind the scenes. I just thought there was some fun little bits.
Sure.
One being that Schwarzenegger insisted on having his own workout and weightlifting studio on location. And he did also insist there's a fitness theme to this movie, which you can tell. And him and Reitman also wanted dirtbag dad stuff, which is probably because that was something close to their hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of that in here.
Yeah, people know this movie, right? It's about a
you guys
cop.
remember this?
It's funny because people remember this movie. I don't know about you, Tom, but I forget the opening of this movie 100% of the time. The first 20 minutes of this movie is like a fever dream where you're like,
It's a different movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different movie because he is, and it's yet another parody of an Arnold film that never existed.
Right.
That we've talked about.
It's playing with his image again.
Yeah, but it's just funny that he never, like the first part of this movie, he never really was that, which is like he's a dirtbag cop. Nothing to lose.
Right.
Being a real fucking maniac.
Real scummy. Yeah, just real.
Yeah. He's dressed like Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Like he's dressed like he's dressed like he's gonna be attacked by himself.
Yeah.
He's just going around being a real scumbag.
He's got that real scummy beard. Like I hadn't seen this in a while, I had seen it recently, but I always forget how much of a scumbag he actually is playing in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that in the next segment,
right,
because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
But so the premise is the scumbag, awful cop who hates kids. They establish that he hates kids. They have to. This was confusing to me. All right, so
do you want me to lay it out for him? Because I got
I'll ask the questions
all right.
about it because this woman ran away from her husband and stole $3 million, and they're trying to put her husband in jail, so they want her to testify, right?
Yes.
I don't know what she's testifying to because
he's crime man. He's crime guy.
I know that, but okay, so he murders someone in front of this woman. That's an easier person, right? Like they should just hold on to that woman, and instead they just kind of let her drift around. Like the ex-wife testifying feels weaker because she hasn't necessarily witnessed like a murder or a crime.
Well,
right?
it's the $3 million.
Right. Yes. That's true.
That's specifically why they want her.
As we learn, though, she doesn't have.
She doesn't actually didn't actually steal any money from him. Yeah.
The woman who watched him kill someone, like they could just hold on to her, keep her in protective custody, and have her testify. That seems like the easier thing. But they fly and then drive for a day, which felt weird to me, but whatever. To Oregon to go undercover to find this woman that they don't know who she is.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
So we learn that the bad guy, Mr. Crisp, who's the cop that beats the shit out of Ben Stiller, and there's something about Mary.
Yes.
Is one of his guys, one of his little gophers, meets him in the back room at a store in the mall to give him some information about his son. He's like, "Hey, I just saw your son someplace," and he has his girlfriend hide in a refrigerator box. It's like, okay, we can sell him this information. So he tells the bad guy, "Hey, I saw your son and your wife with a little boy in Astoria. They're in Astoria. I saw her take him inside Astoria Elementary School." So he's like, "Okay, thank you," and he just kills the guy rather than give him any money. and his girlfriend witnesses that. But when they take her in, she refuses to say anything. So it's
interesting because
so they have him go try to find the ex-wife instead, and they have this lead. They know she's in Astoria at Astoria.
It's a fascinating movie because most movies, like I love this movie. I'm not going to criticize it or say it's bad, but narrative-wise, it's a very weird choice because most movies would set up, okay, these are our principal characters, right? So you expect, him and this woman who witnessed the murder are going to be like, that's the buddy cop of it all. He's going to be protecting her because that's how most movies work, right? In the first 15 minutes, we're supposed to meet all the characters and meet like... But what happens is the movie becomes a completely different movie, and this witness doesn't ultimately matter. She gets killed off screen.
The witness is more of a stopgap, right? Like,
yeah,
they have to. They
again, it's not a. Oh, sorry.
She's just more of a device to keep Crisp in jail because basically Crisp has his mom poison her with bad drugs, and so they have to let him go. So as soon as he gets let out, then he's coming straight for Astoria. So it's she basically only exists as a device to delay the villain.
Right, but it's a very interesting use because you don't expect this to be the movie, except it's called Kindergarten Cop,
right.
And you've probably seen the trailer. But like it's as a narrative, that's a very interesting direction it goes in. And like it feels longer than it is. It takes him only like 22 minutes to be the kindergarten cop.
Right, he's there. He's at the school 20 minutes in. Yeah.
So like, it's not a bad choice. It's just an interesting and kind of weird choice to like set this up. They set up the things you need, but it's almost like a misdirect.
Well, yeah,
because they're setting up who he is, and that's all we actually need.
Yes,
but you think there's going to be a lot more components here that there are.
They are setting up literally Arnold in a different movie. They are. I think the idea here is that they are wanting us to get the impression of extracting Arnold from one of his Arnold action movies and dropping him into this other situation.
And again, one of his Arnold action movies that barely exists.
Right, he didn't really do much of those. Like he did Red Heat, I think is the closest to what we were just watching.
That's what's wild. He's never really played like renegade cop like this. Like he's never played this role.
No.
That's what's so interesting about it. I think what the idea is, what we keep getting stuck on, and the real idea, the solution is that they're parodying movies of the time.
Yes.
So it's like just because Arnold didn't do these movies
tropes.
doesn't mean they're parroting the trope of the time.
It's just interesting to realize after watching so many of all of his movies back to back like this, how few.
Yeah, they never actually did it.
Right. How few of the tropes actually come from him.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. And so what's interesting about this opening is they really do the work more than they needed to, which is like they're setting up a completely different movie to the point that they're setting up characters that would be in that different movie.
Right.
And so that's what's neat about it. Like the basic premise of this woman witnesses a murder, we've seen a million times.
Yeah.
And it always ends up like, she ends up like, being romantically involved with Schwarzenegger or something like that. But no, they just kill her off and then that's it.
And then it becomes almost a mystery. Like he has to figure out who the mom and kid are. That's why they have to go undercover as a teacher.
And it's both obvious and not, because like
they
kid
throw a couple of decent red herrings your way, even though it is obvious, but they do throw some decent red herrings.
Yeah, because they have them like the other teachers like romantically, that they're gonna bang, so you're like, okay, well she's gonna be something. And then the first kid that really approaches him, that's like, all the other kids or teachers are better than you, is the kid.
Yeah, of course he is.
But they do have fun with like red herrings. So, and I also think they do a good job at so basically he goes undercover with this other woman who's going to be the teacher, because of course he's not going to be.
Right.
And then she gets sick.
He's a scumbag detective, and they establish that, I mean, obviously
she eats everything.
Well, there's that, but it's not, I appreciate that they established that she had teaching experience. She was like, well, I was a teacher before I became and it's not just like, well, she's the lady, so she's the teacher.
No.
Although
idea.
There is an element of that, because, and I had forgotten about this, or maybe I just didn't.
Everybody's like kind of weirded out.
They're weird that it's a man teaching kindergarten specifically.
Yeah. Which is a real life thing that happens,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's one of the few jobs that like a guy like gets like scrutiny for doing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So they play with that idea. And so that's interesting. And like I like that. Yeah, they establish her as she eats everything.
Yeah.
And then after she gets sick, she's still doing it, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Like the way to her heart is through her stomach. We'll talk about that one gentleman in this movie.
Oh, her fiance, the chef.
Yeah.
Henry the chef.
But like I just like that she's fully realized that she has a lot of fun, the character, when she pretends to be his sister. But I also like they do something again against the instincts, which is when she gets sick, he doesn't bat an eye because his character is he's like, I want to do this myself. How hard can it be?
Yeah.
They could have easily done a version where he's like, oh no, I don't want to do this, you know? But what they actually have him do is like, the moment she's sick, she wakes up and he's shaved.
He's already done.
got
Yeah,
it.
he's already dressed
Yeah.
for it. Like it's not a scene. He just makes the decision off screen. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to go be the teacher since you're sick. And she's
And
like,
it works.
Are you
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah, and because he's cocky and he's like, nah, I can do it. And of course, the fun is that, the kids run, fucking
They run
run
all
him
over
down
him, yeah.
immediately. Yeah.
So no idea what he's doing.
And then he has to play this mystery. He has to fuck his way through these moms.
Yep.
Find the right one.
Yep. These moms, I love how into him the moms are. Cause
They're so
Yeah.
into him.
it's great.
Yeah, this is a chorus of horny moms
Yeah,
throughout
man.
the movie. Yeah, it's solid.
All the single moms of Astoria.
And then he
he's a
basically-
big fish in that pond.
Yeah, and then they do the thing that I think set the standard. Like Twins didn't quite do this. Twins is a very much more of a fever dream, but like Junior does this more. And I think like this movie I think sets the standard for Schwarzenegger comedy more than Twins.
It's more successful than either of those movies you mentioned.
Yeah, 'cause Twins is technically
in terms
the
of being a
first
successful
one.
movie. I'm not sure if Twins made more money than this. Anyway, sorry.
No, but in terms of like how do you make a Schwarzenegger comedy, I think this one nailed it. That we see in Junior, I think we even see in Last Action Hero and True Lies, which is he starts taking on this role of being a teacher and he gets distracted by being the teacher. And then he changes. His arc is funny because it's based off of him. The part where he's talking to her about the other mother and he's like, it's been really hard for her.
Yeah.
Where he's just genuinely concerned about this mother.
Yeah.
Is great. It's the Junior thing, right? Where he's crying and watching the ad and stuff.
The Francs and the Blankets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where that's the idea. And I feel like a lot of movies have borrowed this model, right? Kindergarten Cop is like the first of a lot of tough guy plus kids, and then tough guy gets into it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what they're showing here is like at first he hates the kids. They're an obstacle. He's interrogating them.
Yeah.
And then he starts being like, okay, I need to solve the problem of the kids. So he starts turning them into little cops, which is a bummer. But
Well, he learns that he's basically like the Linda Hunt, who's the principal, who I appreciated her character a lot because
I want to talk about her character.
oh yeah,
It's
when they first get there, she's like, "Look, I don't like this at all. This is bullshit. I think you're putting the kids in danger." She's 100% right. This is bullshit, and they are putting the kids in danger.
Oh, and she's proven right.
She is proven right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's like the second, like I'm only doing this because I basically have no choice. But the second you fuck up, or the second I think these kids you are harming these kids by being here, you're out of here. Like I will not stand for it. And so he's fucking up so badly that like when they screw up the fire drill and she sees it, she's like,
Yeah, she wants him to quit.
right. So it's not out of a sense of, oh, I have to control the class. He's like, well, I need to get this under control or else I'm going to blow this case. Like she's going to throw us out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's still not doing
works
it for
well.
the right reason yet.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's a maniac here.
Yeah.
Because she should have shut this down very early because
they're
I mean,
presenting us
spoilers
with
for this
some sort
movie.
of yeah, of course, yeah, she should have.
Spoilers for this movie. I think this is the last year this school is going to exist. I'm pretty sure they're going to tear down this school and build a new one because no one likes going to a school at a place where a man was shot and
Yep,
killed.
the man was murdered in the bathroom.
Yeah, because they 100%. There's a point in this movie where once he figures out who the kid is, this dumb shit kid who hangs off the tower. After that scene where he's like, the bad guys are coming to get us. They shouldn't bring him back to school.
No.
That they they dump him back into school and be like, act like nothing's wrong. We're
Well,
going to use you as bait,
yes,
essentially.
Yeah, they shouldn't have left Dominic, the little boy, somewhere else with police officers and still just had her and Kimball go to work as normal, because the idea is sound. Yes, he will come here eventually to try to get his kid, and then we will catch him.
But also, like
take the kid out of there.
Yeah, also, like, at this point, don't they just need her to testify? Like, that's...
because
catch him.
No, because there's no money.
Oh, right. They're just trying to catch him now. Yeah,
now
right.
they're just trying to...
Overall, it's a failure. Like, this is, on paper, it's very bad police work.
Yeah.
And then it gets worse when they're like, let's dangle you as bait. Like, I get what you're saying, like, have just her and him be in the school, but I would argue you can't do anything in the school. Like, you are putting the lives of elementary
luring,
school.
I didn't even think about that. You're luring the bad guy to the school.
Yeah, and what does he do? He
starts a fire. He burns the school down.
So this is like, everybody should be fired. At the end, when he goes back in the school, I'm like, oh, no. He's not. Are they implying that he's a teacher again?
Yes.
Nobody is allowed in this school again. This school is a crime scene.
Everyone is fired.
Everybody is fired or traumatized. It's one or the other, because they fucked this case. They
really do.
Like,
this gets really out of hand.
You can't use an elementary school as bait, period. And then this is why. Because, sure enough, it's lit on fire. There's a shooting. There's no way anybody's walking back into the school, and there's no way anybody is keeping their jobs, including the principal who knew about this. This is all bad. To quote True Lies, they were all bad.
Yeah, but they were all bad.
Yeah. It's very funny.
It's really reckless. It's so fantastically reckless, this whole plan.
Yeah.
Putting a police officer in as a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, and it goes exactly as bad as it can. Yeah, luckily no child dies. Luckily.
No, that we see anyway.
That we see, yeah.
There may be one or two deaths off screen.
Yeah, Jason Reitman.
He does start a fire in the library. Yeah, little Jason Reitman.
Yeah, he never makes it out. He is killed in the crossfire. Yeah, it's fucking wild what happens in this movie. I mean, it's a comedy, that's why. But, like, it's very irresponsible.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's he attacks an abusive father in the street in front of all of his students.
Yeah, and again, it should have ended there. We're not on his side there, but it's like, this is not how you do police work or do an elementary school. Like,
technically, he defends himself, but he does begin that interaction by slamming the guy against the car.
Yeah.
So when the guy goes to punch him, he just blocks the punch and punches him in the stomach and doesn't hit him again after that. But still, you started this interaction to fight this man, and all of the children are behind you watching.
It's going to be a hazy court battle,
including his son.
Yes.
The kid you're supposedly defending is watching you do this.
Again, every kid is traumatized. The main kid sees his father murdered in front of him.
But he doesn't know him. He doesn't know
him. I understand that, but like,
he's just some guy saying like, "I'm your father, Dominic."
Yeah. Either way, that kid is not the same after this.
No, he's changed.
Yeah, he is. There's no going back.
He's going to be that one kid in the class, Lowell, who just talks about death all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how Lowell became this way. Is that a cop came to his last elementary school and blew his dad away in front of him.
Yeah. So this is definitely one of those where at the end they should all sit around and go, "Wow, we fucked that up, didn't we?"
None of us should be allowed to make any decisions involving children ever again, right? Like that's pretty clear. That seems clear. We're all agreed on that.
Yeah, because the kids aren't gonna. All of those kids, I think there's a level of trauma. Like they're never gonna forget the year their kindergarten teacher shot a man in the school. That's never going away. It's still wild to me that there's a scene.
You'd like commemorate a bench to that. Like, here's where Detective John Kimball shot Cullen Crisp.
It's the wildest offer is him coming back into the school and the school being just happening. That there's even a school year to be happening, in the next scene. I don't know how long he was hospitalized. I don't care. That school gets torn down and they start anew. That's what they do after that.
They sure do.
Yeah, because otherwise it's haunted by a creepy ponytail weirdo.
Yeah. Wandering the halls. I'm your father, Dominic.
Father. I can't wait to talk about him. But first
Okay.
First we have to talk about Arnold the actor.
We do, yes.
Our next segment, technically not Arnold, is about his acting in this. And I have a little bit of a controversial thing about this.
Oh, let's hear it.
I don't think this is his best job.
No, it's not. It's not.
I think I want to talk about what the point of this movie is, because he's the two Arnolds. He's action Arnold and he's comedy Arnold in this. And I don't know if this is his fault, actually. This might be a writing problem.
I feel like it is if it's the sorry.
Well, my issue, and it might be, you might be on the same track, is that the transition from I'm a scumbag who hates kids to I'm a good guy is so abrupt that it's basically non-existent.
It feels like a different person. Yeah.
Yeah. He basically just turns into a different version of Arnold.
Yeah.
It feels very Last Action Hero for that reason, where it's like it feels like he's playing a role at the beginning and then he just becomes, and I think that's a problem because I think it would have been a lot more fun if they made him kind of, it's like Bad News Bears, right? Where he's like shows up drunk and like he's just like a real scumbag.
Yeah.
He's like using the kids to gamble or something. Like, I don't know.
Or yeah, if it was more like of a realistic kind of scumbag instead of the action movie scumbag, because you're right, it does. I like the idea of his character. Like I think the idea of his character is pretty cool. And honestly, the stuff with him, from the transition on, I think he's a compelling character. There's some depth there that I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like where he has the whole thing about he's like, I have a kid that I haven't seen in like 8 years, and I just never see him. He doesn't think anything about me. I don't mean anything to him. Like it's like they really went hard on like they knew kids were going to watch this movie, so they put a lot of this kind of real shit in there about families splitting up and living far away, and dads who are in the picture or not in the picture at all, or in the picture a little bit, or they do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I did appreciate that, but I totally agree where the transition that we're supposed to experience is it almost happens off screen. Like it really is from the point where he freaks out and runs outside to get his ferret to run back inside to gain control of the class. Pretty much from that moment on, he's a totally different person.
He is. He's a completely different character.
Yeah.
And I would argue he should have never gotten a hold of he should have never figured it out. He should have never been a good teacher.
Oh no, I like that for him though.
Oh, see, I think what they could have done is, I don't get me wrong, I think he could become a mentor to the kids and the kids could like him, but I don't think he should ever become a good teacher. I think it should always be like him bribing the kids or like finding ways to trick the kids, or like, and the idea is he's always like this kind of rough around the edges asshole who slowly learns to at least like and protect the kids, right? And to like get along with the kids and form relationships. I think he should have never, though, become a good teacher.
I see.
Like that's, I think he should have been a scumbag through and through to the end. But he's just learns that the kids and him learn to get along. I think that's more fun.
I think that's a different movie. Like this, but I agree that there'd probably be more opportunities for comedy in that movie. Like that'd probably be the funnier version of the movie.
Yeah.
Because this movie's kind of front loaded. Most of the jokes are in the first half.
Yeah.
But like, I really like I like his character arc a lot in this, because I like.
It is fun.
And this is for technically not Arnold. I thought this was pretty perfect, where it is such an atypical Arnold character, where it's an Arnold guy, like an Arnold character, learning that being an Arnold character doesn't make him happy. It's actually made him miserable and ruined his life.
Like I said, this is the gold standard for Arnold, like kid comedy and also Arnold comedy arc. Like they do it in Junior, which is he gets changed.
Yeah.
But I do think that works for Arnold. I'm sure Arnold had a lot of say in the wholesomeness of this, but I can still see a version where like he's always a little scummy. We've done that too. Like I would argue the Terminator is kind of that, right? In T2.
A little bit.
Where it's like he always kind of doesn't understand why he can't kill people. Like he can't kill people because he's told
Because
to.
he's told not
but
to, yeah.
It'd be a lot easier for him if he could just kill people and you can feel it. So like
He understands it at the end. I think I know now why you cry. He gets
that's
it
true.
at the end. I mean, it's the whole, like Linda Hamilton's whole thing of a machine can learn the value of human life. Anyways.
But like the funniest version of him in this, I think, is when he's interrogating him.
Yeah.
And like they laugh and he goes, ha ha ha, quiet. Like that version where he's just terrifying to them is so fun.
It's fun, yeah.
I kind of wanted more.
Yeah. That's the more cynical version of the movie, for sure. Like you said, Bad News Bears. That's the Bad News Bears version of this movie.
Yeah.
And I do agree that would probably be the funnier movie, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say like, oh, it should have been this because the movie's great and I love it. But I think there was a very abrupt arc, and watching it from like watching it without nostalgia, realizing that of like, oh yeah, they didn't really give him, like you said, he sort of screams that character out of him.
Yeah.
And then brings in his ferret, which by the way, the ferret also feels like a rewrite. Because he's a weird ferret-owning dirtbag, which is weird.
He has a ferret for no reason.
No reason. She discovers it in the car, which means he brought it on the plane.
Yes.
Which I'm like, how did he fly with the ferret? He just snuck that ferret through half the movie.
It was in his pocket. You stay. He's like giving it peanuts every couple of minutes. Stay quiet with the ferret.
It felt like a rewrite where they were like, we need a moment where he gets the class's attention, and maybe the first script they're like, we don't believe it, we need something else, and they must have cooked up the ferret and then went back and added it because it really feels like an addition.
And also his plan was apparently to just leave his ferret in the car all day because he runs out to the car to get it. So
he's not a good ferret owner. No, he's a bad ferret owner.
Definitely a rewrite for sure. But the transition's abrupt, but his character stuff from that point on, where he has this depth and these like meaningful conversation with Joyce, who ends up being the ex-wife of Crisp that he's looking for. It's just, I appreciate how like kind of vulnerable in a realistic way Arnold is in this movie, because it's not something he typically is in any movie before or since. And I know why they wanted to do it. It's supposed to be a family film, and they wanted to kind of But like I just think it's unique as an Arnold character. He doesn't often because the only other version of this, of the absent dad or the dad stuff is in stuff like True Lies or Jingle All the Way, where it's very different and not meant to be realistic. It's meant to be over the top in those movies.
I think what it is that the arc isn't bad. It's just more of a right triangle than an arc.
Right.
Like it needs more of an arc, because I don't mind that him coming to that at the end. But like you said, like the idea that he has his own kid that he doesn't see, it's again that realization of like he's a scumbag. And I wish we played with that a little more, where it's like, because watching this, I'm like, why is he a scumbag? Because it seems like he's able to warm up to kids very fast.
Yeah.
And so I wish we saw more resistance. I love, by the way, the part where the cops try to arrest him because he looks like a maniac.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good detail.
Yeah, of course you would.
That's where we get, I'm a cop, you idiot.
I'm a cop, you idiot. They just don't believe him. Like, we better call this in, because why would you? He looks like a maniac, and he's got a shotgun in the mall.
Yeah, the problem is really just that the two Arnold characters we see in this are so different.
They don't gel. They're two very different people. Like, I appreciate the idea, and it's an entertaining idea, it could have been handled a little better, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a fun idea. It's done perfectly fine if you're just watching a movie, but it could have been a little more artfully done.
Think what it is because we still enjoy the movie, because it's like, let's watch this tough guy who doesn't deal with kids deal with kids. That's funny.
Yeah.
But it's not the guy from the beginning.
No, it's not. It's not the same character at all.
Yeah, and it's like, I kind of also want to watch that guy deal with kids. That's a funny idea too. And I think they could have. I think they could have done it with minimal effort. Little things where it's like he's caught like smoking. Like he's just doing like bad kid stuff more, and he's more rebellious, and stuff where it's like the dad, where he's like, you're not worth it. It's like, that's not the guy I knew. Like the guy I knew would break into their house at night.
Right, the guy I
Murder
knew
the dead.
walked into a club and just started shooting his shotgun everywhere, and then sat down on the couch next to a material witness and purposefully tried to creep her out so badly that she would go back to the police station and identify Crisp in a lineup.
Yeah, and so it's like I kind of want that version where it's this scumbag who's wants to help the kids, who's using his like again Terminator, where it's like my own robot. It's like I want the kids to be like, oh, this is our action scumbag who's working for us.
This is our fucking dirtbag.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't have anything else for this, but the next segment is plentiful.
Our cup runneth over, Dave.
Yeah, this is definitely not Arnold, our best side characters. Let's start with this Kmart ass villain.
Cullen Crisp.
He would be the henchman in any other film. He is a ponytailed henchman. He looks like he'd be getting kicked off of a gondola while holding an Uzi in the first 5 minutes of any other film.
Right.
He has little boy face.
Right. He'd be the guy that gets like catapulted into a jet engine or something by James Bond.
Yeah.
He does have little big baby face. He technically is a henchman because his mom really seems like the big cheese in that operation. But yeah, he's got he runs like a criminal organization with his mom.
He's the best dirtbag. Where you also realize also Danny, who's the one who gets killed. These are people at rock bottom. He's getting murdered for $1,000 in the back of a mall.
Yep.
Like he's doing mall crime. It's mall criminal. Mm-hmm. Like this is farm league shit.
He goes upstairs from murdering a guy to talk to his mom in the salon where she's been getting her hair done. Hey, I found out where your grandson is. Also, I need to talk about how he speaks.
Yeah.
I think the performance is legitimately good because he's so unsettling in every scene he's in, because the way he speaks is like he's forcing words through his mouth while trying to open it as little as possible. And I understand why. It's like bottled up rage. He seems like a guy who's like barely containing himself and is going to fly apart at any moment. But it also serves to make every one of his lines really, really funny in a way that they didn't intend.
Yeah. It's Jared Leto Joker, which is that this is what a actual villain would feel like, which is like, I don't like
he's
this
repellent.
guy.
Yeah.
He's not cool. And he's doing a great job because, again, he would be a mall dirtbag.
Yeah.
That's how criminals act. Like, he's just like...
murdering a guy over $1,000 in front of some mascots in the mall.
He beats a guy up for his toy. I love the line where he gets the kid and he's like, are you a fireman? He goes, I'm no jerk fireman. And I'm like, why do you hate firemen? That's so good. That's such a scumbag way to put it. Like,
sucker,
fuck firemen.
I ain't no jerk fireman. I should have known. I couldn't fool my own boy.
Yeah. Yeah, he is such a repellent
so unhinged. He's a total maniac. He's great.
And he lights a school on fire, which is exactly what a mall dirtbag would do. That's what it is. It's like whenever you hear about actual criminals, it's always dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
It's always someone shot a bystander because they thought they were someone else.
Yeah.
And like that's this. He lights a school on fire, possibly killing kids because of this like weird scheme to like kidnap his own son. Because he just wants, it's perfect. Because it's not even, he doesn't even want money. He's just like, he can't fucking quit.
Right,
like that's the whole thing.
He can't let go that she left him with his son.
Yeah, and the actual evil person is, as you mentioned, the mother, who is terrifying. They do this like, where she like is going to make the boy sick. They do that like subplot. Where she's buying like a rectal thermometer and all this stuff.
Right, and he's like he's like way too old for a rectal thermometer.
Yeah, and you realize like, oh, she fucked this other guy.
Yeah, that's why he's the way he is. I see.
Yeah, she manages to almost kill Arnold. And
she does. She just about does.
And shout out to the fact that my favorite thing about this movie is the villain dies. Right, Arnold is taken out in a stretcher. She's taken out in handcuffs, despite the fact that the way she's dispatched in this movie is she is hit in the face with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
She takes a baseball bat to the face and walks out in handcuffs.
To the wrists first. Like when it's so Crisp is dead and she's shooting at Arnold like, where's my grandson? Go to hell. She's about to blow his brains out, but then his partner shows up and first just absolutely just lumberjack axe smashes her
Yep.
wrist with this bat to get the gun to fall. So like her wrists exploded right there, and then she
Apparently not.
She hits this old lady right in the face, right in her Cruella de Vil hair.
Yep. And then she's just like, no ambulance for me, thank
No.
you.
Arnold's
They just cuff her. They walk her out. She should be dead.
Perp walk out. Meanwhile, all the kids are seeing their beloved Mr. Kimball get wheeled out in a stretcher. He looks dead.
He looks dead.
Like,
yeah.
these kids have had all they can handle, man. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to her and shout out to our main fucking
Cruella de Vil
dirtbag
and her
villain.
weird ass son, Cullen Crisp.
And then Danny the dirtbag who gets killed in the back of a mall. It was always going to end that way for Danny. He just
love
wants
Danny.
$1,000.
I love Danny. I love how Danny had no conviction either. Like he's at first, like he's talking a big game with his girlfriend. He's like, okay, we got this
Yeah.
information we want, so we can get a couple thou out of him easy. It's got to be worth something to him, right? And as soon as Crisp shows up, he immediately loses control of the situation. Like it's clear he's just
Yep.
scared of him. So he just gives him the information for free.
Yeah.
Like he can't even pretend that he like. So he starts telling him the story, and then Crisp is like, "So where did you see him?" He's like, "At the school." Like he tries to obfuscate for about 5 seconds, and he's like, "At the school, at Astoria Elementary School."
Right. And then he realizes like, oh, he's fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, just love how quickly
Perfect.
that man's plan fell apart. Like he's
Yeah.
like,
Perfect dirtbag.
I got this. Within 45 seconds, he's dead in a mall.
He reminds me of like the X-Files Monday, the guy who robs the bank, who just has no good, who's like terrible at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that where he's like, oh, I got this. And then it just falls apart and he's shot in the back of a mall. Shout out to the ferret who technically is the hero.
Yeah,
Because it saves the day.
claws the bad guy's face. It saves
Yep.
Dominic, so Arnold
Not-
can shoot him.
Yeah, not quite
Chris,
shout
not
out,
Dominic.
but the yeah. The abusive father who swings at Arnold is like, come on, man.
That's I know we've talked about this before, but he
Yeah.
is. I do want to spend just a few more seconds on this guy. He's my favorite genre of guy in any tough guy movie. The guy who
yeah.
thinks he should swing on the swole out of his mind man. Like the guy who thinks he can beat up Jason Momoa is my favorite guy in these movies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's like this fucking guy. We're gonna leave the jukebox on my song, all right? This
Yeah.
fucking guy.
Oh yeah, anybody who tries to fight the Terminator.
Right,
It's
yeah.
always like, what the fuck do you think you're doing right now?
Like even if he wasn't a robot, this guy would massacre you.
Yeah. Let's see. Other shout outs, the chorus of horny moms we talked about.
Oh, yeah, they're
Quick
great.
shout out to the dirtbag where Arnold Schwarzenegger walks into the club and the woman says, hey, baby. And then the guy says, what do you mean, hey, baby, to her? I just like that exchange where it's like they feel like they're in a committed relationship and he's genuinely upset
They
about
clearly
that.
had two very different ideas of what was going on between them.
Yeah.
So,
That scumbag party fucking rules, by
it was
the way.
an awesome scumbag party,
Yeah.
man.
They're having a great time.
And he just blasts his fucking shotgun everywhere. He's not even shooting
yeah.
it. He's just shooting randomly in the club.
Yeah.
He is a maniac in the opening
He's
of this
an
movie.
absolute maniac. We mentioned the principal, who again is like, I just want to watch this cop fail, and like just rolls with it and doesn't give a fuck, and then learns that he's not even the right cop. Learns that he's not the cop they intended, and still is just like, it's fine. You assaulted one of the parents, but it's fine.
But he's a really good teacher, Dave.
Yeah, that's a maniac
He
shit.
wants to find a new profession and a new thing that's going to make his life better and more fulfilling, Dave.
Yeah. A lot of maniacs in this. The kid who's
There are.
obsessed with genitals, who's
Yep.
either going to be a doctor or a serial killer when he
Yeah, and
gets older.
his dad's a real maniac because we learn later. It's like my dad
Yeah.
is a gynecologist, so it's like, oh, so your dad is just telling you, like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
Or the girls who said our mom says that our dad is a real sex machine.
yeah.
Who are
It's
these
like,
parents?
someone
What are you
check in.
telling your kids?
Yeah, it's great. The one girl who speaks Spanish, no one doubles checks that. Is like, it's like, does she also know English? Is she learning? Like, that's.
Well, she also says her dad works at home, but
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Like, he
so
know-
she does.
yeah,
She's
but-
bilingual.
yeah.
All right, then that's fine.
Well, I mean, that she says it in Spanish, but that's what she says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had some more. Of course, the partner who becomes his wingman / sister.
Yeah. She's great.
oh.
I love that. Phoebe. I love that character.
Yeah. Before we get to the main event, to me. Did you ever notice, this is to me the best background character, in 2 seconds when he confronts the mother about the abusive dad, there's a kid in the background who is not climbing but has mounted a street sign. Have you noticed that?
No, I didn't.
It's not okay. Again, not climbing. And what I'm describing is one of those 9-foot street signs, that's just a pole with the two intersecting streets on it.
Yeah.
There is in one shot a kid who I assume they didn't tell the kid to do this. I assume it's an extra who has taken it upon himself to become a legend because he is immortalized. In a 2-second shot, there's a kid on the top of the street sign just hanging off of it. And it's like, what the fuck? It's glorious.
I've never noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, watch that scene again. There's a kid, again, it's real quick, just hanging off of a street sign. It's wonderful. But we got to talk about, of course, Henry Shoup. The fuck god, Henry Shoup, who I don't know why he's in this movie. Which is he comes back to their tiny hotel.
Sex lizard
and
Henry Shoup.
It's her birthday, his partner, and he's fucking her stupid and made her pasta.
While she's eating the pasta. It's a real George Costanza situation.
It's disgusting. They're disgusting. I don't know where he made the pasta too, because it doesn't seem like there's a kitchen. So he brought a hot plate, got some bathroom water, boiled up some
some buttered noodles.
Yeah, made some buttered noodles. She's so into it. So apparently he's made it delicious. And he's just fucking her brains out.
I love their relationship. I love that for them.
Oh, I love it for them too. And then he just looks like he's the writer of the movie. Like he's just some guy.
Yeah. He looks like an informant.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He looks like he'd be dead in the first 5 minutes of a Scorsese film. Fucking Harry Shoup. I want a movie about the Shoup.
Yeah.
Why didn't he partner up with Arnold? It's such a weird role to be in this movie.
It is, it's, and then they give him a weird slapstick
he's at the end.
thread too, where he's struggling to hide his hideous genitals from Arnold's sight with two pillows, and he's just knocking everything in the room over. And then later they come to visit him in the hospital. He fucks Arnold's bed up and hurts his leg.
Yeah. He just keeps hurting Arnold. It's so fucking weird.
Wild character.
Yeah, it was just can we squeeze a little more comedy in this?
Let's
get a guy, let's call him Harry Shoup, and let's have him fuck this lady's brains out while being a clumsy guy. I thought he was going to fuck Arnold. I thought he was going to feed Arnold, and the food was going to be so good that Arnold was going to fuck him. And we learned that he's a food-based fuck wizard of some sort.
You never thought this.
I mean, I wanted it. I looked up the actor. He's not even a very big actor. I thought oh, is this a cameo? He must be a friend of Ivan Reitman's, I assume.
I think it's just a role they cast, man.
Yeah, I guess it is.
They just wanted a guy that looked a specific way. And for this comedic part that's just really shoehorned into the movie. It has nothing to do with anything.
So weird.
She never mentions a fiance before, never mentions it's her birthday. It does feel like an addition that was just kind of, this movie needs more comedy because we're not getting a lot of comedy out of the kids stuff anymore.
Yeah. It's wild, but I like it. I accept it.
It's out of its mind, but I love it.
It really is. The more you think about it, it's one of those movies where you're like, the fuck were they going for?
Yeah, this movie is unhinged.
Yeah. Any other side characters?
I mean, some of the Lowell I mentioned earlier, the kid who just brings everything back to death, and of course the kid who asks tells when Arnold says, "No, it's the headaches. It could be a tumor. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor."
That actually brings us to the most Arnold moment. Which, like we said, this is a soundboard movie. Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Who's your daddy?
Copyright it. It's not a tumor. I found a low-key line, and I know why it's not a soundboard line, because it's kind of blended into the conversation that I just want to point out as what I think is actually my favorite Arnold line in this.
I feel like I have a dark horse one too, but yeah.
Okay. He's talking to the other woman who was supposed to be the teacher, and he says,
Phoebe.
He says, you should be reading stories about bears that go shopping. That's the line. And it's like that line should be famous. That's such a good line.
Reading stories about bears that go shopping.
It's so good.
Mine is are you eating all these your lunches? Why are you eating other kids' lunches? Stop it!
Yes.
And the kid just spits the lunches out of his mouth, so Arnold fully drops him
I
onto
actually
the floor from 6 feet in the air.
That's actually my most Arnold that I wrote down.
That's what I wrote down.
Out of all of it. Yep. Him picking the kid up like a dog who did something wrong and then dropping him.
And just dropping him like a sack of hammers.
Yep. And like, I'm sure they put a mat under that kid, but they make it really feel like...
It's like a big air pillow or something.
Yeah, but they make you feel the thud where it's like...
It's a loud sound effect. He's dropping him from full Arnold eye line. And like he drops him in like disgust. It's such a so great moment.
That is definitely the most Arnold. Is it time to rate this movie?
That and when he almost shoots the teacher and the two students coming around the corner.
Oh yeah, that's pretty Arnold.
Pretty Arnold. And the fact that his ankle holster gun is just a regular sized like 9mm.
Oh yeah.
Because they can't
just that big.
Yeah, because they can't give Arnold a dainty little gun.
And
for
again,
his ankle holster.
weirdly, the less Arnold stuff is the beginning. That's the less Arnold stuff, technically.
Yeah. I mean,
it's Arnold now with Draft Action, Last Action Hero, where it's like that's what he's parodying in Last Action Hero. But
right, just walking in and shooting up the drug hangout, the scumbag party.
Arnold walking into a place and shooting everyone does absolutely happen. It's more of like his character in that.
Yeah.
But like, Terminator does that. A lot of Arnold does that.
That's very true.
All right. Well, what we're gonna rate this with our classic rating system between 1 and 69, the sex number, 69 tumors.
Tumors.
Yeah. Tumors. How many tumors would you give this?
Oh man, for dropping a kid from 6 feet in the air, for eating all these lunches.
Yeah,
man, I think I have to give this 1990 tumors.
1990 tumors. 1,990 tumors.
Yep.
All right.
It's just besodden with tumors.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. That is this 1999 or 1990 tumors. Yeah.
We did it.
Fucking great movie. We did it. And then next, what did I say was next? Is T2 next?
I think it's T2, man. I think we're
going
wild. On Judgment Day.
Oh, we absolutely
we're
are.
So close, Dave. We're
wait.
finally here. It's finally Judgment Day.
It's finally Judgment Day. God, we're gonna ride this thing into oblivion.
With any luck, we'll be riding on the chariot of apocalypse.
And so
talking about Arnold movies.
Yeah, thank you so much, Norm. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, this is a delight. A delight.
Yeah, it's great.
Norm, you're a hero. You're the real Schwarzenegger.
You're the most Arnold moment.
You're the most Arnold, yeah. This was through our Patreon, folks. Patreon.com/gamefully unemployed. You give just $5 a month. You get access to a bunch of podcasts. Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys. That's all for $5 a month at patreon.com/gamefully unemployed. We have a Discord community. We have a movie night. We watched this on movie night. We absolutely watched Kindergarten Cop.
We must have, night. Yeah. I think we did.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's true. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs. You can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So why don't you put your little peepers on there? He's almost Macho Man. It's
almost like he has to take a shit real bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have known I couldn't fool my own son.
He is. He's like
kind of Macho Man.
He's like if you give like painkillers to Macho Man.
He's like Macho Man. Oh, he's like Macho Man in a library.
Macho Man in a library. Holy shit! What a bit. What an endless bit that is. Yep. Fuck.
What an eternal font. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Take it easy, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Australia